with us here on Closing Arguments, and this story is so heartbreaking. We're talking about a 5-year-old girl who went missing and has not been found. It's all taking place in Tennessee. It's a story we've been covering for some time. Take a look. There's her face. Her picture has been put on billboards, posters. It's all over. People are posting, reposting, all looking, hoping, and praying that they can find Summer Wells. There she is. And tonight we have some updates on the family of this missing angel, Summer Wells, who disappeared nearly 6 weeks ago. Over the weekend, Summer's father, Donald Wells, confirmed that Summer's brothers were removed from the family's home during an interview with J is for Justice podcast. Here is some of what he said.
Are the kids okay?
They're fine. They're fine.
The rumor is that they were taken out of the home. Were they taken from you guys?
No.
Were they? Oh no.
No.
Yesterday?
A couple days ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Right now, with everybody attacking us and all this stuff going on, right now, it's probably better for that.
WJHL reporter Ansley Daniels spoke with Summer's parents, Donald and Candace Wells, after a hearing yesterday and is joining us live tonight with more. Ansley, great to see you again. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having us back on. I did actually speak with Don Wells yesterday as well as Candace. There was a court hearing yesterday here in Hawkins County. Now, I want to be clear that we were not allowed in the courtroom. I was not even allowed to take my phone or Apple Watch or anything like that into the lobby. I had to leave all of that into the car. So I was only allowed to take a pen and a notepad in to the lobby yesterday. They got there around 1 o'clock, right when their hearing began. They were immediately escorted into another area. And when they came out, that's when I had the opportunity to speak with both of them, where Candace Bly first walked out. She confirmed to me that the boys had been removed from the home late last week. Yesterday, she did not tell me why. She said that she would prefer to not explain why they had been left or about why they had been taken by the state. Now, she did say that they have retained an attorney, but she wanted to make clear that this was a separate situation from her daughter being missing from their home. A few minutes later, Don Wells walked out of the Justice Center, and I spoke with him. He also confirmed to me that the boys had been taken, and he did mention something similar to what he said on the podcast. He said that the boys were safer where they were in state custody. Now, he did not explain to me why. He didn't give me any reasoning as to why they were safer. He just said that he believed that they were safer there. Now, yesterday, we also checked with the clerk's office. There is no new paperwork on this, but when it comes to situations involving minors, typically it's pretty a standard procedure for them to not release any paperwork or to not allow us into courtrooms and things of that nature. But again, both of our parents wanted it to be made clear that this was a separate situation from Summer being missing.
Let me ask you, Ansley, because you're there. When you said safer, a couple things come to mind. Sometimes in these super high-profile cases like this, there could be a lot of people kind of roll into town. Maybe you don't want the kids near them, all this attention that they're getting as well. Do you think that played any role in it based upon what is happening near and around their home and in the community?
That certainly could be a reason as to why they were removed. I will say on the podcast, Don Wells did mention that he had an episode of drinking over the weekend. Again, we are not sure if it's correlated at all. We just know that he mentioned it. He said that was the reason why on that podcast. However, yesterday when I asked Candace, she didn't want to give me the reason as to why they were taken. But, you're right. There is a lot of talk about this case. It's definitely, made waves here in our community in Northeast Tennessee. There are people from all over the nation and the world watching this case right now. So that certainly could be a reason as to why they were taken. But again, there are prayer circles happening every week for Summer in the Kingsport community, which is about 30 minutes from where she lives. And Her mother has been showing up to some. At the last one 2 weeks ago, Summer's brothers were there, but at the one last night, it was only Summer's mother as well as her Sunday school teacher. So, there have been people too that have been coming from all over the nation to those, so that, definitely does play into your theory some.
And how about the latest in searches? Have there been more searches? And if so, do we know anything about results? Was anything found?
There was another search over the weekend. EquiSearch Midwest came back. They were here in the beginning stages of this search. They came back over this past weekend. Unfortunately, though, nothing came up of that search, especially nothing that we're aware of at this time. However, yesterday we did receive an interesting release from the Churchill Rescue Squad. They were the lead agency on the ground search. And yesterday, after that search was completed over the weekend, they told us that they are no longer the lead agency for the ground search, and then everything will now go through the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office unless the Sheriff's Office needs them to assist. We aren't really sure why that is. Yesterday, we did reach out for an interview with Tim Coop, who is the incident commander of ground search operations, or was for this case, but he said that he was not interested in furthering the release that he sent out yesterday, just that he was, no longer the lead agency on the ground search.
All right, Anthony, stay with us. I want to bring two more folks into the conversation tonight. Joining us in Atlanta, Georgia, professor of forensics at Jacksonville State University, former senior investigator for the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office, and forensics media analyst Joseph Scott Morgan, and in Salt Lake City, Utah, retired police commander, host of the Profiling Evil podcast, and author of Deceived, an investigative memoir of the Zionist Society cult. Mike King is with us. Great to have you both here. Joseph Scott Morgan, let me start with you. Your reaction to the latest developments involving the family, that the siblings have been removed from the home.
Well, there's any number of reasons why people are separated from one another. Let's remember, these children were that first point of contact. They had these immediate recollections. And one of the things that, police officers are taught early on in their training is that if you have witnesses, you want to keep them separated so that the stories can't get jumbled up. That's a possibility here, and you're dealing with young, delicate minds at this point in time. Secondly, what level of danger was there? People keep using this word safe. What level of danger was there in this dwelling, at this residence, in the surrounding area? Why would they feel compelled to have this need to extricate these children from this location? And then, you have this familial dynamic. You really wonder, do the police have something else in mind here? Are they looking at something else? Has the situation become untenable in that residence? Remember what was mentioned just a few moments ago, the dad actually admitted to having a bout of drinking. That's certainly an environment that you would not want these young children in. My Lord, they've been subjected to enough at this point.
Mike King, your reaction to these latest developments involving the family?
Yeah, I think Joseph's right on target. The questions that I guess I have are, was it something related to the investigation, or was it entirely separate from that? And it would appear with Don's comments about the drinking, and he mentions other things which he doesn't really clarify, that it might be that family also acknowledges that with the stress that they're under with a missing 5-year-old daughter, that they're not giving the attention that these children deserve. There are certainly questions about whether the home is a safe environment for the children anyway. And so there might be a number of reasons, but I particularly like the idea, Vinny, that this gives investigators an opportunity to really lock down whether that child entered the home, whether she went into the basement, whether she could have exited that basement door, whether there was someone else. There are so many things that they are pivotal in understanding, and I think it's a great opportunity for forensic examinations.
Joseph, what do you think about the sheriff taking over the search efforts, the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department?
Oh, well, he's going to have more. He has broader resources. I think he can call things to bear, call people up, bring in reserves, this sort of thing. Sheriff, it goes. It's well known that sheriffs are, there's a reason they're referred to as the high sheriff. They're some of the most powerful people in a particular county, and so you want that individual on point. One of the things that I'm really thinking about here, Benny, relative to this search, and I don't want to bury the lead and jump ahead, but one of the things I'm thinking about is that we have had so many boots on the ground in this case. My assumption is that they have used all manner of canine tracking at this point, everything from looking for a living human being to cadaver dogs, this sort of thing. And it would seem, at least, and we can't verify this obviously, that there is no scent that has been determined. I'm thinking out on this property, this is a vast area. Are there abandoned wells? Are there sinkholes? I've visited this area and camped up there with my family. I can tell you there are caves up there. There's all kinds of little nooks and crannies that folks can get into, but they're not picking up on any kind of scent. So you're not just going to have a young girl that's barefooted, that's this age, that's going to wander off in a straight line and leave this grid area here. I'm still of the opinion that she has been spirited away somewhere.
Ansley, can you kind of fill us in on the extent of the search efforts? How many searches, how quickly after she disappeared they began, and where they've been focused?
The search began immediately, from what I understand, when that 911 call came in. I know that search, the initial night, went into the wee hours of the morning. Now, I think that they broke off for a little bit and then resumed daylight. I think they broke off around 3 or 4 and then kind of came back at daylight. And then after that, the searches went on for 13 days in that area, with more than 1,000 people searching from more than 160 agencies, not only across the state of Tennessee, but other states as well across the Southeast. I think that, your point to the cadaver dogs and the other dogs that have been here searching, is a very interesting point that you brought up. We learned a little bit about that last week in a communications meetings from EMA directors in Hawkins County. They mentioned that they, have used some of their supplies to take the dogs further out into the woods on different ATV units, so they wouldn't get as tired. So we do know that dogs were used. We've been told that they've searched more than a 4-mile radius near the home, but nothing has come up, which is just leaving us with more questions than answers most days.
Yeah, Mike King, that's not a great place to be, with more questions than answers. So what's next? Where do we go from here, Mike? If these searches, and these are vast searches, you got Texas or Midwest EquuSearch coming in more than once. Yeah. You've got all law enforcement, and they're coming up empty. Where do we go?
Yeah, I think you got to go back to ground zero and solve that problem first. So the interviews with mom and dad and grandmother and the boys continues to be an extremely important piece of this puzzle. You got to come up with a reason why she would leave the property, and if it would have been because she was targeted in some way or just an opportunistic kind of thing. But we can't rule out the fact that this tyke could have wandered off. And just like we've talked about, there are so many places she could have tucked up under a bush or something. But as time goes on, and with the temperatures the way they are, there would start to be signs if she were somewhere out in the open. So it makes you worry about things like those wells or those little caverns where she might crawl.
I want to take a listening and remind folks, this is Candace Bly, Summer's mom, speaking and kind of giving us an idea of what happened. And this is the interview from WJHL, of course.
Me and my mother and her were planting flowers, and we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers, and I said okay, and I walked her all the way over to the porch, and I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV, and I told the boys, I said, watch Summer, I'll be back. And within 2 minutes I came back, and I asked the boys where their sister was, and they said she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said okay, and I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer. which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone.
Ansley Daniel, let me ask you, has anything changed in what the parents are saying happened? Have they added to it, elaborated on what happened that day?
To me personally, they have not. That's been their story, and Candace and Donna both stuck to that for the most part. The only thing that I would say that might bring a little bit of question is that time frame. She mentions 2 minutes, where Summer went inside and Candace was outside with her mother. She mentions that there was a 2-minute time span there, but a lot of people, like I say, myself included, question, could she have walked off and gone that far away within that 2-minute frame? And then, there's also the question of, kind of what led up to the moment that she went missing. What happened during the day? There's been a couple of different scenarios there, but unfortunately, for the most part, that story has stuck the same. So we still, again, don't really know what exactly happened that night in Beech Creek.
Ansley Daniel, WJHL, always great to have you on the program. Really appreciate your insight. Thanks so much.
Sorry. Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my Mental Health and Crime channel. My name is Huda London. I'm a licensed cognitive behavior therapist and a licensed mental health counselor. The clip that I just played is a very important clip, I believe. I'm surprised that I didn't pay attention to it before, because I'm sure many people haven't paid attention to it, because we would have got a lot from that. Clearly, over here, we hear Ansley Daniels, the WHJL reporter, and we hear Vinny from Courtroom, who conducted the excellent interview. We have the detective or ex-detective, very skilled man. Please like, share, and subscribe to him, Mr. Mike King. And we have the forensics reporter, who we have seen in many interviews of different cases that we have been following, like the Gabby Petito case. We can clearly hear that there was no scent from the canine dogs. The dogs were even taken further deeper into the terrain. The search lasted for 13 days. That's almost 2 weeks. So let's see if Summer Moonoo-Terrells, the 5-year-old girl who's been missing up to today, it is 13 months. When Summer got missing, there was actually mentions from the law enforcement that Summer could have just wandered off. But then we can hear clearly in this interview what Mike King said, which is very important. If she walked away from the property and wandered off and something happened, by now they would have found something. I hate to say that, but we know that they would have found some evidence, or they would have found Summer's body, God forbid. So the chances of Summer Moonoo-Terrells wandering off from a property is very slim. A 6-year-old girl, a 5-year-old girl, I'm sorry, she will be 6 now. I hope they find her alive and well. Summer was 5 years old and she was barefoot. So how far could she have gone? Not far enough. God forbid she was eaten, God forbid, I'm really sorry, trigger warning, guys. If she was hurt by animal, there would have been human remain traces found. So that doesn't make sense either. This clip that I just put on is from the 29th of June 2011. I have been saying that for a couple of months now, that I personally believe 29th of June is a very significant day in this case. On the 29th of June, the infamous interview with Don and Candace Wells, the first interview they did together, and the first time we saw Candace Wells was on the 29th of June. On the 29th of June, there's a small clip from WHJR, the channel basically, in Tennessee. We saw Ainsley Daniels explaining to the anchors in the studio that Candace Wells came in contact with Ainsley Daniels. She came in contact with her through social media, and she told her, which is very important, that was on the 29th of June 2021, Candace told her that she has changed her name and that she would like to be addressed as Candace Bly. That is on the same day she did her interview. And I've been asking that question many times. Why would a missing girl's mother, who has been carrying the name Wells for a very long time, all of a sudden change her name back to Candace Bly, her maiden name? That makes me believe, this is my personal meaning only, that makes me believe that something happened to Summer, and possibly Dawn Wells could have been involved in it. Because Candace changed her name. That means she didn't want the name Wells connected to her. And that is really a red flag. Parents usually stick together when they have a missing child, like the McCains, the most famous case of missing Madeleine McCain. And I was thinking, just say that if the parents are guilty and are aware of foul play, then in fact that is more reason for them to stick together closer, because they both are criminals, just in case they did something. But clearly over here, Candace didn't want to have anything with Dawn. So she changed her name on the 29th. So that is one important thing. And the interview was the second most important thing. Then you have this interview from the Court TV, Vinny, talking with professionals, and they said clearly there wasn't any trace. The dogs did not pick up any trace with their canine dogs. They in fact spread the search deeper into the terrains, and it was going on for 13 days. So I want to know where Dawn Wells came out with the lies saying that the TBI found a dog trail. They found trace and scent of Summer. He told us that Summer was put in a car, that somebody took her from the dog trail, put her in a car and drove far away. Do you remember that, guys? It's become like a routine for us. Don has mentioned that to the Behavior Channel. He's mentioned that to Chris McDonald. He's mentioned that to each and every interview he's done, whether he was under the influence of alcohol or drugs or whether he wasn't. So I really hope that many people watch this clip of mine, not for my own interest, but just so that y'all can clarify not to believe Dawn Wells's lies. I was always wondering about that because never have I heard TBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, never ever heard Tim Cook, or I've never heard Leslie Earhart. I've never heard Sheriff Ronnie Lawson saying that the dog trail, there was a scent of summer in the dog trail. Because if there was a scent of summer in the dog trail, then law enforcement wouldn't have been wasting their time and their resources. They would have focused on the dog trail and they would have arrested all of these people. June 29th, I repeat, is a very important day to Summer Moon Uti Wells' case. Because Candace changed her name. She went from Candace Bly Wells back to Candace Bly, her maiden name. So she must have found out that Dawn did something. Possibly. 29th of June is the day that Candace and Dawn did the interview together with WHJL, where we couldn't understand half of the things they were saying, and I couldn't see any emotions, any sadness, any sorrow, and we couldn't see any tears, let's be honest. I used to believe at the start that it was Dawn who had a bit more empathy and he looked like he was very sad and destroyed in the interview. But then I had paid attention so much to that interview, I understood why his eyes were glittering and shining. It was because he was drunk, he was drinking. So there wasn't any emotions, it was just his eyes shining. There was no dog trace, guys. That is being confirmed. These are professionals. Court TV does their research before they work on such cases. You have Ainsley Daniels in this interview saying that the canines did not get a scent of summer. Ainsley Daniels found it very interesting and very concerning that Candace said that she was just gone for 2 minutes before Summer disappeared. The more we see it, the more it looks like it was foul play. Let's not lie to each other. Let's not lie to ourselves. Then you have the interesting thing about the children being removed out of the house a couple of days before the 29th. So I want to know, why were they removed? Donald Wells has always been blaming the YouTubers and the public, saying that the children had to be taken out for their safety and people were coming and putting drones around us. I knew, of course, there are some people who must have been harassing them a bit, but it was nothing major for the children to be taken out. And now that Jody Sue has confessed what she's confessed, that Dawn and Candace was getting drugs from Andy, trigger warning, and that Andy was supplying them with drugs and Don was supplying Candace the drugs to sedate the children. Could it be the reason that CPS took them to court and took the 3 boys from them? Definitely it makes sense now. Today I feel like things are actually coming closer with Jody Sue Brown finally starting to talk. And the more I go to the clips from Ground Zero, the more it's starting to make sense now. I always put in, especially any interview, any clips that Don and Candace and Jody Sue Brown, Alison Hunter, all these people who are involved, who are people of interest, I put in their clips. But the most ones, if you check in my channel, guys, you're aware of it, is WHJL's interviews and Code TV and all, because I really take their facts to be serious, because they do confirm things with law and enforcement, because these are serious professional news channels and news anchors, and the Code TV has professional people like Vinny. They do not want to be putting up any rubbish or anything that can mislead the public. So the question is, why did Candace change her name? Was it Dom that gave Summer some heavy drugs, allegedly, and Summer had an accident to pass away, God forbid? What could make a mother so angry and so upset that she changes her name? It is a very important question that we need to think about. Another thing that I wanted to mention is I will be putting up on my thumbnails a picture of a hand with a snake wrapped around it. I'm sure many of you all have seen it, and if you all haven't seen it, that hand and that snake wrapped around it belongs to Jody Sue Brown. Guys, do you all remember that I've been talking to you all in these last couple of months a lot about a snake? May Jose rest in peace. Jose spoke about a snake in the shed that killed the cats of the Wells, 2 cats. He said that snake used to bother them so much that they called the animal control, and the animal control couldn't find it. I'm sure that is registered in the animal rescue and animal control is files. I used to always say, was Summer bitten by a snake? And now I'm actually saying it more because I can see that Jody Sue Brown has a snake. Jody Sue Brown and Andy and a 19-year-old son have intervened themselves into the interviews. They have invited themselves in the case. Why would they do that unless they had something to do with it? So I was wondering, could Summer have been bitten by Jody Sue Brown, a snake? That is something to think about, because the picture of Summer we saw, I would say it looks like some snake poisoning or some overdose or something. I could be wrong, guys. It's just my speculation. But the more I see Jody Sue Brown with a snake, Candace with the tattoo of a snake, a cross that has a snake wrapped over. It's on her wrist, guys, and you see a snake on Jody Sue Brown's hands, or it's basically her arm. I'll put it on the thumbnails and you will see the snake wrapped. And the snake's mouth is facing Jody Sue Brown. She has edited many things of hers, deleted many things of hers. Luckily, I saved this picture a long time ago. I don't know if she's put it up again, but it's worth thinking about. Because why would a mother have a snake tattoo? Why would she? And the main thing is, I have checked and checked. Candace did not have a snake tattoo before. You could clearly see, especially in the interview with Chris McDonough. Please like, share, and subscribe to him. You could clearly see in that interview, her t-shirt, she was wearing a white t-shirt where it was written, Mom on Patrol. It had short sleeves. There was no tattoo. Pay attention to that, guys. As a cognitive behavior therapist, we do not, I don't know about, everyone has their own way of doing their counseling and their therapy, but it is part of our skills to do active listening and to watch people's behavior. Our clients, because they could be saying something and they could be meaning a whole different thing. And then you have the main part of Candace saying, I don't walk around these places here. I'm scared of the snakes, bears, and coyotes. Do you remember that, guys? So why would somebody who's scared of snakes have a snake tattoo? Could have Jody Sue Brown a snake bitten Summer? Question. Because Jody Sue is involved in somehow the other. Or did her children, Summer, did she overdose on some drug? That's even a theory to think about. Was there accident in the property, like Summer falling off a swing? Because you can clearly see there are sharp stones like rocks that are underneath the swing. Why has Dawn been lying to us and trying to run around convincing us that the dog scent went down towards the road? And don't forget, he said in the behavior panel that my neighbor heard a scream. It sounded like a mumbling scream. He said it was like somebody came from behind and held Summer's mouth with the handkerchief and ran down the dog trail, put her in some car, lured her away, like Candace said, and went far away. I always knew from the start, I always believed that Candace, Dawn, Jody Sue Brown are working on something. Either they all are guilty, or either one of them is guilty, but if they snitch on them, the other one will snitch back. And I really believe that actually the CPS found out about it. That's why they immediately removed the boys. It's not because we YouTubers have been danger to this case. It's because the parents are the danger. The parents are the ones allegedly abusing their children, molesting their children, God forbid, allegedly. According to Jody Sue, the parents are the ones who put Summer and the boys' lives in harm and danger. Then we have Candice Bly's mother, Candy Harrow, who took 10 months to give even an interview. I can understand that her daughter Rosemary Bly is missing up to now since 2009. So I could understand the first couple of weeks why the mother decided, Candice's mother, not to talk and all. Because obviously this would bring her trauma and PTSD. She'll have to relive the whole episode of what happened with her beloved daughter. And now it's a beloved granddaughter that is missing. So I feel her pain. I can imagine it. And I'm being mindful. But let's be honest, it doesn't take 10 months for a concerned, worried grandmother to come and ask for help from the public and everyone to get help to find her missing grandchild. I personally believe that something happened, whether it was after the swimming hole or whether it was most likely when they came home with Summer. I believe they did come home with Summer. But I don't believe Summer woke up at all. God forbid. Because the picture we saw, Summer did not look right in that picture. God forbid. Summer was suffering in that picture. She was either passed away or she was dying. God forbid. I hate to say that word, but I'm being honest. So even if it was a snake bite, maybe Candice didn't want to run to the hospital or call 911 because she knew that it was serious child neglection. It was child endangerment. That's the right word. If Summer overdosed with drugs, they know that they all would have a serious case, and especially Donald Wells, if he was around, or if he wasn't there, Candice Bly, because we are aware the timeline was with Candice. She knew she would get arrested immediately. And with their criminal backgrounds, it wouldn't have been difficult to build a case on these people. I believe some kind of endangerment happened to Summer and they don't want to own up. Because now it's been 13 months. If something happened to Summer and she wandered off, let's not forget she was barefoot. How far could she have made it? With all the terrain, with all the glasses on the floor, with all the stones. And I never forget what Don told the behavior panel. He said that we put fear into Summer so that she would never wander off. He said we would just add more and more things to the list and tell her that there's snakes and coyotes and all. And Summer was a 5.5-year-old girl when she went missing. Why didn't Summer wander off before? Things that we've heard that Summer wandered off a bit and she was brought and all home. I really don't know if I should believe that either. I believe they're using it as maybe it happened once or twice that she just wandered off, and that was when Jose, God bless him, was talking about it. He said that was in 2020. So Summer was 4 years old. We could understand that such things could happen, but not when she was 5.5 years old. Either Summer fell from the swing, God forbid, or either there was some foul play. And Jody Sue Brown was saying that the parents were giving her drugs and molesting their kids. Trigger warning, I hate to say that, but that is Jody Sue Brown's words, not mine. So if that was going on, and even just say if Summer, and just say there wasn't any accident with Summer. Don't forget school was starting in a week's time. Isn't it strange that Summer had her school uniform on? And school was starting. So maybe they had to get rid of Summer, God forbid. Others, they all would have gone to jail. Maybe they were worried that the school doctors and nurses would have clocked on. They would have definitely taken Summer to a counselor or child psychologist. Because as a therapist, we deal with children a lot. And obviously, odd behaviors or behaviors of children who've been molested or raped, we do it through therapy and check. And there's certain kind of patterns you see. Although I really do not like discussing that subject because I'm not going to accuse anyone of any parent of molesting any child. That will be completely wrong if I don't have facts and evidence of it. But we are not blind. We can see through the pictures and all that Summer was suffering. Poor girl. I think that is seriously one of the reasons that the CPS in Tennessee put a gag order on this case. Because they saw that this is a vulnerable case, or maybe they removed the children from there because the neighbors were involved, like Jody Sue Brown, like Andy, maybe Fred Hill, maybe more than we think. So all these are questions to ask ourselves. But this clip will confirm to you from Court TV that there was no dog sent, like Donald Wells has been lying and telling us for a very long time. I never believed him, and it never sat right with me. And thank God I watched this clip, because Court TV and the panel and Ensley Daniels would have corrected it and said, oh, actually there was a dog trail. It went down the hill so somebody could have abducted her. Nah, it didn't happen. Neither has TBI told us that. And it's because the dog trail did not catch Summer's scent. Let's not forget EquaSearch. EquaSearch has been on the case twice. There was 160 agencies, guys, that were involved in this case for 13 days. Let's not forget, they covered a lot of miles, and they couldn't find Summer or any evidence of Summer. So whatever happened to Summer Moon Uta Wells, I hope you can finally see is foul play. And like I mentioned many times before, guys, read the website. I read it every day, of WHJL and the TBI's website. When you read the TBI's website, you know what the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation stands for. They work for many serious cases. They investigate human trafficking, SCX crimes, gang-related crimes, fraud, gang-related fraud. Is that why TBI was called on the 16th? And is that why TBI raised the endangerment alert to the highest alert? And that alert was the Amber Alert. Jody Sue Brown is starting to talk a bit now, She's starting to clear her voice more. She used to mumble a lot, but thank God now we're finally hearing all the BS. And if this is true that they were providing drugs to Sama and her brothers, I hope they all get arrested. I have really no mercy or sympathy for anyone who hurts children. That is the reason there is law and order in this world. When people start hurting children, abusing children, putting children's life in endangerment by feeding them with drugs and alcohol, molesting them, allegedly, those people need to rot in jail. They really need to get the highest penalty. That whole place was full of drug addicts. Why are we lying? This is a gang-related crime, guys. And that is one of the reasons, no wonder we can't find Summer, and they can't find Summer. Because Don had to cover it up, let's be honest. He said, I have 7 alibis. Candace says none, she's going down. Why would someone say that? Could it be that Candace Wells changed her name to Candace Bly because she found out that he did something to Summer? Could it be that Candace Wells changed her name because Don asked her to change her name away from him after he heard that maybe Candace was involved and hurt his baby? Isn't it strange that Don Wells keeps on saying, I always knew something would happen to Summer, and I used to tell Candace, keep a close eye on her. Now it's starting to make sense. The reason is to tell Candace to keep a close eye on her could be because they were feeding the children with drugs and alcohol. Or maybe he told Candace to keep an eye on her as an alibi because he knew he would get Summer gone with all the molesting and all the nastiness that was happening to these poor innocent children. That is why there's a gag order on this whole case. I hope we come to the bottom of this case, guys. But I ain't going to give up. I'm going to put as much as pressure in a decent way I can. And I'm going to try and find them with all their previous interviews and everything. The truth shall come to the light. They can't keep on hiding. And this is getting really, really concerning. Jody Sue Brown, if you ever watch this clip, go turn yourself in. You and Andy and your son need to go and tell law enforcement exactly what happened to Summer Mulutu Wells. We are tired of sitting and hearing your nastiness and your lies and your threats for the last 13 months. Come on, Jody Sue, chop, chop. Go to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation before they come to you. This little girl, Jody Sue, deserves our justice. Whether you believe in God or not, like you say, that's up to you. But you'll have to be facing law enforcement, and if you don't face them, you will be facing God, whether you like it or not. If you have information that you're sitting around and telling people on social media, why don't you be a decent human being and go and tell the right people, law enforcement? You have been making super chats, you've been getting money of this little poor girl, Precious Summer. This case. And if anyone wants to answer me and say, oh, you've been doing that, I do not get any money from YouTube. Just that you know. I do not get super chats. And I work for my money. And I'm really satisfied with my job as a mental health counselor, as a licensed mental health counselor. But I'm addressing this to Jody Sue because I don't think it's right. The funny thing is everyone's opened a YouTube channel, from Fred Hiller here, allegedly, to Andy having a channel, Jody Sue having a channel. What is going on? These are the usual suspects. Jody Sue is playing Kevin Spacey from, what's it called? The Usual Suspects, Kaiser Soze. She is actually Kaiser Soze, thinking about it. And strangely enough, Kevin Spacey is in court. He ran away from the UK and went back to America after he's allegedly abused young boys. And this is not the first time. I just remembered that because I mentioned his name, although he really acted well in that movie. So Jody Sue Kaiser Soze. Kaiser Soze is Jody Sue Brown. Go turn yourself in, or go turn the information you have to TBI. Maybe you will get a better deal than Andy, Dawn, and Candace. Jody Sue, your children need you around. So if you're not involved, you're already having health issues, I pray that you get well. But Jody Sue, God hates evil. And we ain't giving up, Jody Sue. You can keep on threatening us or passing comments in my comment side. It doesn't bother me. Unless you need mental health therapy, stop doing that. You can get it for free from me. Stop threatening people, Jody Sue Brown, and come clean out. You have children of your own. You wouldn't want that for your children or for anyone in your family. If Candace and Dawn were wretches who couldn't look after their children, you shouldn't be encouraging them unless you're involved. Did you get paid, Jody Sue Brown? How much did you get paid for? And we know that the abduction theory is all bogus. Watching the court TV, there wasn't any dog trail, Jody Sue. And whatever screaming you heard, that was all up in your head. There wasn't any screaming. So stop your bullshit and go to law enforcement and tell them the truth. This girl, Summer, precious little Summer, deserves the justice. And whoever was involved, may they get the maximum sentence. Guys, my subscribers, I want to wish you all a lovely, blessed weekend. Thank you for subscribing. And I just want to thank you for all your encouragement, your support, your kind words in the comments, the discussions we have in the comments. Thank you guys for putting up with me. I'm still amateur on YouTube, but hopefully I have my summer holiday starting this week. It's already started on Thursday, so now I should get sufficient time and get my nephew and my sons, my teenager sons and my 20-year-old son, to maybe help me to fix up this channel. Thank you guys for being patient with me. I really love each and every of y'all. Stay safe, stay blessed. Wishing y'all all again, all the Americans in the world, wherever y'all are, a happy 4th of July weekend in advance. I want to wish all the Canadians a happy birthday. And I want to wish all my subscribers a blessed time. Look after yourselves. Reduce the anxiety, guys. I mean on social media and for yourselves too, because it becomes a bit too much. It was bothering me so much, the anxiety and all the nonsense with all the YouTubers, or most of the YouTubers, picking on each other and harassing each other, that I decided for a couple of months just to tune in now and then, but not to go much in chats. Because there's a lot of rudeness. Not everyone is rude, but there are some people who take it too far, who have no morals, who have no ethical morals, no boundaries, no mindfulness. And I can't be bothered to waste my time and try to correct them up. We're teachers, and this is all on off-duty time. But it just shows, when people start picking on each other, it just shows what kind of character they have, which is very sad. It reflects back on them. Especially people who are bullying people. They don't understand how dangerous bullying is. People end up committing suicide. The best example we had was, may he rest in peace, Jose Ramon. And I know for a fact that I ain't bullying Jody Sue Brown. I am just saying my opinion, and this week, 2 days ago, she managed to confess it. She said that the children were fed with drugs, and the drugs was given to Candace by Dawn Wells, and the drugs was bought from her own ex-partner, Andy, who surprisingly enough has his own YouTube channel. Wow, we have all the criminals on social media. So who are we investigating if they are here trying to play games with us? What are we? That's what usually, I'm sorry to say, sociopaths, psychopaths do. They never leave the crime scene so that they can get the right information to find out what we know as the public, so that they can go quickly and correct themselves up. And I always said from day one, that is exactly what Jody Sue is doing, guys. She's here for a reason. She's here, just like Dawn, to change the narratives. So now that it is confirmed when you watch this clip in the court TV that there was no dog scent, that gives us enough confirmation that Dawn was lying about the rest of the things. He's very smart. He always says, if you ask him about the boys, he says, oh, I'm not allowed to talk about them. There's a gag order on them. Because he knows exactly what he's done. And it makes sense what Jody Sue was saying, because the children were removed. And not only removed, the children's case was put on gag order. Because the CPS knew this is a personal matter, that for all we know, Jody Sue said it wasn't only summer, even they were molesting the boys. Trigger warning, guys. We have seen many cases, like the case of Elizabeth Smart, who was abducted 20 years ago from her bedroom. We didn't see her brothers and sisters, her other 4 brothers and sisters being taken away by CPS. We saw that in Trezell and Jacqueline's case with the California City Boys, Cincinnati Classic, aka Orrin and Austin. And that happened because I'm sure Bakersfield law enforcement and California City law enforcement immediately knew that there was foul play. Summers Brothers wasn't only removed, a gag order's put on them. That means nobody can discuss the case. You heard clearly what and Ensley Daniel, the reporter said. She said, we went to the courtroom and we were only allowed to have a notebook and a pen, and there wasn't much details. The court let them hear because CPS put a gag order on the boys, and I can really understand and respect them for doing that. And that makes me believe more that the boys were, God forbid, molested. They were beaten, definitely. They were exposed to violence, to nasty behavior. I'm sure that's the reason CPS, because they're the Child Protection Service. I'm sure when they took the boys to counseling and to therapy, I'm sure the therapist gave in her or his feedback and said, take these children far away from these parents. We are lucky, guys. I've said that before. We are lucky that it's only summer, although it's very unlucky, unfortunate, and sad. We're lucky that we don't have 4 missing children and that we have 1 missing child. No child should be missing. But imagine if all 4 could have been gone. These people were up to no good. They hurt these babies. And I'm surprised with the people who still believe in Candace and Dawn. If the TBI said, and if especially Sheriff Ronnie Lawson said that they don't believe in the abduction theory, why should we believe in it? They're law enforcement. They know the area in Tennessee and Ben Hill better than us. I'm sure they know all the people in the society who are on drugs or selling drugs, and they knew what they're dealing with. That's why they removed the boys immediately and put a gag order. So guys, let's digest this and think about it, because everything I'm saying here is facts. Some are allegedly, but now that we have it from Jody Sue Brown's mouth, that should be enough. And I won't be surprised if Jody Sue Brown, Andy, and Candace get arrested very soon. Take my words, guys. That's going to happen. Dawn is already in custody. They know what they're doing. And I'm sure, like I said from day one, Dawn was arrested on charges, not only because of his charges of drinking and driving. That was a nice chance for law enforcement to intervene and take him out of the scene, because he was running around with the narratives. He was running around with the false alibi. He was the one leading us to believe that there was an abduction when there wasn't. And that I clocked on from day one. The place they live in is so isolated that I'm not saying it's impossible, but the chances are very slim for someone to come up to that property and abduct someone. Why didn't they do that before? Another thing, wasn't the 3 boys left alone many times, even the day Summer disappeared? So if there was some kind of creep or pedophile or something like that, trigger warning, roaming around the neighborhoods, they would have taken the boys. Doesn't make sense. These people are involved in a foul play. That is the reason the TBI is involved too. Because they work with human trafficking, they work with SCX offenses, they work with gang-related crimes, they work with fraudsters, they work with different things. That's why the law enforcement, maybe the TBI, asked the CPS to remove the boys immediately, and I really believe that they came to this decision through a psychiatrist and psychologists and counselors who were dealing with the boys and with the parents. And I'm happy that it happened this way, because no child deserves to lose his home or his parents. But if it was these parents who were putting their children in neglection and endangerment, then it was the right choice. And it should have been done much earlier, guys. Look at the state of the house and the basement. I never ever speak about the negligence inside the house, but it's not something we can ignore. They had the children in a tiny, dark basement hole. Some didn't even have a own bed. Dawn thought that it's in fact normal, the way he was explaining to the behavior panel and to other interviews, that, oh, Summer just wanted to sleep in my bed for the first 18 months. She didn't even want to go to her mother-in-law. When I listen to Dawn, I never say that, but in our line of duty or in our line of work as therapists, we do run across a lot of Dawns. And many of them have the same characters. Because people with antisocial personality disorder usually do not show any empathy or remorse. They lack it a lot. This man has been in a criminal life for a very, very long time. And it's never sat well with me, the little girl who was playing out on the street, that Dawn said he took her inside to her parents and yelled at them and asked, why is the daughter outside? And the daughter's mother said in Facebook that he was creeping around and all that, and the mother wasn't very happy with him talking to his 5-year-old daughter. So maybe Dawn is used to bad behavior, that he would be a repeat offender. I'm not saying he was trying to abduct the girl, but anything is possible. His stepsisters have told us, and many people have told us, that Dawn he burnt his father's farm down with animals that were alive in it. That is arson, and that's killing animals. Very, very normal symptoms of antisocial personality disorder, because there's no remorse and there's no empathy there. Dawn was sedicating these children for his own advantages, I believe. And so was Candace. Candace was busy roaming around with a 14-year-old minor. Maybe that's why she thought of putting someone to sleep for a while when she was up to no good, and maybe some overdose. But it has to do something with Jody Sue for her to be acting so fishy. But anyway, it's good. Now everyone's hopefully throwing each other under the bus. Guys, please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the contents of this channel. I'm wishing everyone in America, all my American family and YouTube people, and even the people that I don't know, any Americans, have a lovely 4th of July weekend. And to all my Canadians, have a lovely birthday for Canada. Guys, take care. Get plenty of rest. Stay safe. Please do not drive if you're under the influence. I know it's an important weekend. Look after yourselves and look after your loved ones. And that is from me to you all. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.